Yvette Erskine spent over a decade on the beat and as a detective in Tasmanian police. She's turned her inside knowledge into a crime drama set in the streets of Hobart. Readers will be familiar with the locations and possibly some of the characters in the debut novel to be released next week. I spoke to her in Melbourne earlier today and began by asking her just how much is fact and how much is fiction in The Brotherhood.
It's all fictional, of course, but you know, obviously there are a few things that happened in there that do reflect experiences from my own policing career.
Many Tasmanians will identify locations, even events, you know, cases, and even people, possibly even some high-ranking police officers.
Oh, I don't know if you could draw that out of it, Ellie. When we're talking about my characters, I really think that most of them are fictional. A lot of them, particularly the women, have a lot of myself sprinkled throughout them.
It could be argued that there aren't very many particularly overall likeable characters, or at the very least they're very deeply flawed. I mean, you've got bent or damaged police officers, the lawyer, the journalist, magistrates and judges. I mean, none are painted in a particularly good light. Are your memories as grim as the book?
Oh no, not at all, Ellie. I think perhaps when I was writing them, I wanted to show that everybody is human, everybody is flawed, we all have secrets, and that perhaps the face that we put on and we take to work isn't the face that is there when we get home.
It is set around the streets of Hobart and certain suburbs, and the much scorned bogan cop plenty of flack was the attitude that prevails towards those suburbs and towards those people. You know, how accurate is that portrayal?
Once again, I can only say, look, that is my experience. You are dealing with the worst of the worst, and you know, it's not up to me to single out suburbs, and we can perhaps say that that's a bit fictional.
Oh, but you have?
But I have, yes, and I'll be absolutely slammed for that, of course, but you know, that's what it's all about, and that was my experience.
There's a significant amount of race relations and race politics in the book. Some people could be offended by that. Are you prepared for that?
I believe so, Ellie. Look, at the end of the day, it is fictional, and that's all I can say. You know, when I sat down to write the book, and I was talking to someone about this the other day, my main character, my crook, Darren, was actually a normal, fully white Anglo-Saxon member of society, and one of the many young people that I unfortunately arrested over the years, and you know, a combination of those young people. He wasn't part Aboriginal. I think I threw that in there and changed that around in order to draw out a number of potentially interesting storylines about how you can explore attitudes in Tasmania and indeed in Australia in relation to race relations.
You spent over a decade in the service. What was the scariest moment you had?
The scariest moment was perhaps, if you'll read in Joe's chapter, you'll see an incident with an anti-police mental patient with a high-powered hunting bow now, and a cache of arrows and a machete. Whilst it didn't end up as badly as John and Joe's experience in real life, that was one of the incidents that I would throw in the 10% as being real. That happened, that was a horrific situation, and after it happened to me, I went outside once we'd gotten away and I vomited in the gutter, and I was absolutely sick, knowing that you know, you always think it as a copper, but it never actually hit home until that point in my career that I might just not go home one night, and that could have really been it. So that was perhaps the most frightening thing, and that was also one thing that led to me thinking, well, maybe this isn't the job for me.
So that was a trigger for you leaving?
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you follow what's happening now in terms of keeping up with the politics and so on surrounding Tasmania Police?
Oh, look, I keep a bit of an eye on it, Ellie, but to be honest, I left feeling, as I said, pretty grim, and I don't like to follow it that in depth, but I keep an eye on the budget questions, and I guess it's always disappointing to see the cuts, and I think it's a fairly sad indictment on a government that needs to start attacking health and education and public safety, and I do find that concerning.
There's a big question left unanswered at the end of the book. Is that a hint that there is a follow-on book, or is it left hanging and left up to the reader to decide which way it may have gone?
Well, there wasn't going to be a follow-on book, but yes, there has been one written. Some of my early readers gave me the indication that they weren't quite happy to leave it there and that they did indeed want some more answers. So be pleased to know there is a sequel that has been accepted, and that's hopefully due out for release next August, but you know, I'm not counting my chickens, so we'll just see how we go with this one. But there is a sequel, and there is some resolution to that question that you're asking, but perhaps not in a way that you might have envisaged.
Good way to end the interview, leaving us hanging. Yvette Erskine, thanks very much.
Thank you.